Excellent. All right, welcome, friends. You're all rolling in. I'm so glad.
I think it's looking like it's calming down on the people coming in. Oh, don't I know it? She's hysterical. But all right, I think we can get started. If they're already latecomers, I'll let them in. But they can join in. But welcome everybody. We're going to talk today about leveraging your LinkedIn to network like a pro. This is, like I said, a deep topic. There's a lot to cover. We're going to talk about your profile. We're going to talk about how to use the LinkedIn. We're going to talk about the features of LinkedIn. This webinar definitely assumes that your overall knowledge of LinkedIn is pretty novice. So if your knowledge of LinkedIn is a little higher than that, some of this stuff you may already know, that's okay. Don't feel like you've got to write down or memorize everything. You are going to get this video sent to you. Even if you weren't able to make it, we're going to send this video to everybody. So if you missed something or there's a note you really wanted to grab, don't worry, you're going to get it later. And we are going to have some time at the end for Q&A. Because this topic is deep and we have a lot to cover, you can throw comments in the chat, but please hold overall Q&A till the very end. We'll address things live and in the chat as we go. But we just want to kind of storm through this as best we can because there's a lot to cover here.
Woohoo! All right.
All right, here we go.
Rock us?
Here we go.
Yay.
All right, this is us. We're
This is
Alma
us.
Vida. Well, this is not literally
that's
us.
Not us. Right.
In case you couldn't tell, those are our commanding officers there. That's not really us. But we are Alma Vida. And we cover at Alma Vida a huge range of topics beyond just LinkedIn. Our goal is to help you live your life in all capacities, your career, your life, the leadership roles you take, the relationships you have with other people. We're here for all of it. Obviously, these webinars are narrowly focused on a particular topic, but no matter what you're looking to have help with, that's what Alma Vida does. Now, this is us. This is actually us. I'm John. I'm the Director of Career Services. So that slice of Alma Vida that helps deal with career, that's where I sit. That's where Shari sits. So here we are.
Oh, that's me. I'm a career specialist and a leadership coach. Oh boy, yep, that's pre-COVID. This is current COVID. Feel free to stay in the chat if you like me rocking the gray or you want me to go back to red. Everyone gets an opinion.
See, you know what you
embrace the gray. All right.
As I say, you here, look, see, I used to have the goatee. See, this is also pre-COVID, right? I had this small goatee. Now I've got this much larger beard.
So also feel free to weigh in if you want the goatee or the beard. We're open here. Feel free to voice your opinion.
My beard is not a democracy, Sherry. This is.
Okay, well, I just want to tell you right now in the chat, people are liking the beard. They want the beard. And
well, then it is a democracy. Great. All right, fantastic. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover why LinkedIn. I assume that if you're on this webinar, you're at least interested in engaging with LinkedIn, but we're also going to kind of make a pitch that if you're not, you should. And if you're only engaged a little, you should be engaged a lot more. This is something that really can propel a lot of people. We're going to cover what the essentials are to having your profile in place, basically the foundation that you need to have in order to use LinkedIn to its maximum potential. How do the connections work? What should you be doing with connections? What is the meaning of other people's connections? Then what I feel is the most important, how to actually engage with LinkedIn, because preview for that section, it is not a static thing. You're not just creating a LinkedIn profile and then walking away done. And then we're going to open it up to Q&A for maybe some specific topics, questions, or hurdles that you've encountered. So the first thing that, and Sherry is looking at the chat a little bit more than I am, but the first thing that I just want to ask everybody is, are you using LinkedIn for your job search? How are you using it? Most of the time, and you can answer this in the chat just so we can kind of get a feel for where everyone is at. But usually when I see people on this topic, they're using LinkedIn as a job board. That's kind of the foundational thing. Well, there is a LinkedIn job board and it works very similarly to Indeed or Monster.com. So a lot of people are using it there. That's fine. There's no reason you shouldn't do that, but it shouldn't stop there. A lot of people use it and stop there. Sherry, what else are you seeing in the chat?
I was gonna say, that's what we're seeing in the chat. So people are using it for job boards. Sometimes they'll reach out to recruiters. Some people are using it for networking, job board and advertising, getting emails from LinkedIn showing opportunities. So just so you know, those of you in the chat have answered the question like almost all of our clients do when they first come to us. That's where the challenge is. Like John said before, LinkedIn is still a social media. We'll probably say that 50,000 times in the next hour. It's not static, it's dynamic. Using it as just a communication board. You are not even using a piece of the potential that you could be using it for to get and leverage your network, to job search, to enhance your business. All of the things you are throwing in the chat now, it can do all of those things and more. So what you're seeing is what our clients come to us with initially as well. And then in coaching, we work past that. We're going to give you a glimpse today. Mostly a job board, place where my resume lives.
Right.
That's what we're seeing.
Now, I spent a lot of time as a recruiter. It's a lot of my background prior to coming to Amlavida was I was a recruiter, I was a hiring manager. I spent all my time on LinkedIn. I spent it not only sourcing the candidates directly in the first place, but I did my due diligence here. You know, when I got a resume, when I got an application, I absolutely look at LinkedIn. Nobody would get to really let's say the second stage. Maybe I'm not doing it for every single application that comes in, but my short list, I'm always going to due diligence here. So you want that to stay in mind, right? What are people that are looking at my profile that have come to my profile? What are they looking for? Nobody randomly lands on your profile, right? It doesn't just come up. Your profile doesn't pop up in people's feed. If you go onto LinkedIn, you'll notice there's a news feed, right? That's where people post. Your profile doesn't show up there. Your profile has to be sought out. If you haven't directed anyone there, nobody just randomly lands on your profile. So they've been directed there either because you've sent them there with a link because it was on your resume, because maybe you reached out to them on LinkedIn, because you linked to your LinkedIn profile from somewhere else. So keep that in mind. Who are you driving to LinkedIn and what do you want them to know about you? You want to make sure that you're catering to your audience, right? If your audience is clients, write for clients. If your audience is hiring managers, write for hiring managers. So Sherry is so good, by the way, at this stuff. Do you want to cover? I don't even want to step on your toes. You're so good at this stuff.
No, we're good. You're fine. We're going it. So one of the most important things when you're looking at your LinkedIn, understand that when a hiring manager, and I think you saw on the slide earlier, like 90% of hiring managers or recruiters are going to your LinkedIn. It's probably even a little higher than that now, because look, lots of people are looking for jobs. Lots of people are looking to network. If you make it difficult for somebody to find you and to get to you, they will move on to the next person. That's why LinkedIn is so powerful. It's probably one of the most powerful tools you'll have. So in order to enhance it and make yourself easy to get to and easy to be considered to have value and impact, these are pieces that are important. Your profile comes on the screen. Most people are doing it either on a mobile app or on a typical laptop. What they're seeing is the top portion of LinkedIn, which is your banner, your headshot, and your headline. So these are the things you want to spend your first bit of time on when you're making changes to your profile. You want a professional personality picture. That does not mean you need a stuffy corporate headshot. It means you need a picture that's high quality, but that lets your personality show through. If you're in the corporate world, then it should be a corporate headshot. If you want to show you're a little bit more whimsical or creative, then that's what the shot should be. You don't want one where there's someone's arm around you that you photoshopped out or any of those things.
No selfies. No selfies.
Right. So you still want that high quality photo. You're looking at the stats on the screen. I don't need to read them to you, but you get a ton more impact from a photo. That's part one. Part two is the banner photo instead of just your headshot. That's that piece that sits behind it. Right now, a lot of you probably have a big gray thing back there. That's LinkedIn standard. So that means you're giving lots of your real estate to LinkedIn. You want to use that space. Show something that shows who you are, your personality. I dropped my LinkedIn in the chat. I'll drop John's in a little bit too. Check out our LinkedIn's. John's is awesome. He's got a great headshot. It's very much his personality. It's casual, but he's approachable. We'll talk about killer headlines in a second. His banner photo on the back is our ALV, one of our ALV graphics. So it's very clear the message he's giving to people who immediately get on there. And that's where you want to start.
And by the way, don't overthink this. If you have people think, well, what's the perfect banner photo to capture who I am? It doesn't need to be perfect to be better than the LinkedIn standard. Having any photo there just shows a higher level of investment in your personal brand. You'll have plenty of time later to find something perfect, but right in the beginning, you can literally go to Google, type in free LinkedIn banner photos, and there's tons of them that are already, the right size to fit in that kind of long landscape spot, that are just things like kind of generic computer desk graphic design pictures or nice landscapes of mountains, Bob Ross kind of pictures. Any of those are better than the gray background, because the very first thing that picture signals before people even look at the content is the fact that you have one means I care about my professional image. I care about using this platform as a real connection, and it's not just something I'm checking off a to-do list. So just having anything.
And keep in mind, you're looking for high quality, and I'm going to repeat something John said initially, and then I've said, and now we're going to repeat. It is not static. What that means is it can change. If you're tired of it, you don't like it, you found something better, click in and change it.
Absolutely. Now, headlines, here's what not to do on a headline, because here's what a lot of people do is they try to just jam an entire resume into that headline space, right? Like they try to write job title and who they are and 15 different certifications and every degree that they have and everything into this tiny headline. A headline is a slogan. You don't want a headline to stop people from reading. You want a headline to entice people to read further. You want a headline to encourage people to want to know more about you. So, for example, my headline does not read Director of Career Services at Amalavita. That's who I am. And if you scroll down into my experience section, that's what it'll say. But my headline says helping people do what they love. Because that's what I think of myself as doing. And that makes people want to read further, because it makes people wonder, like, well, what does he mean by that? How does he do that? It's interesting. And it's not generic, not the same as everybody else's. Now, that doesn't mean you're always going to have this perfect slogan or anything, but put something in there that's action-oriented, right? A really great way to use that headline space is to tell people who should contact you. Reach out to me if you need the best graphic designer on earth, or talk to me if you want the best ad copy available, whatever it might be. It can be short, it can be sweet. It does not have to be 100% of who you are. It obviously can't be. It's maybe 120 character max. It's obviously not going to be your whole thing, but put things in there that are searchable and that grab people's attention.
And the reason why we call it a killer headline is you want it to show your immediate value. Because keep in mind, what we're talking about in terms of leveraging and networking through LinkedIn is selling yourself, getting your personal brand out to the people who need to see it. So again, using those relevant, catchy keywords, optimizing it to match the industry you want to be in, talk the talk. Find out what the right words are that are being used in your industry and use it there so that when someone comes on, they immediately know, just like John said about the photo, here's someone who's interested, here's someone who's raising their hand, here's someone who's making an investment in our arena, because at least they're using the right language. And that's super important.
The other thing it says is, if I put as my headline, Director of Career Services at Amalavita, that doesn't indicate that I want to talk to you. It indicates that this is just here to be something to hang on my wall. When I say helping people do what they love, when you use a slogan of some kind, that shows you want to talk to people. You want people to read that slogan and engage.
And that's what we do in coaching, is we help you through those pieces. I am seeing some of the questions come through in the chat, and I'm monitoring them. We will get to them at the very end, but just to give you a sense of what coaching feels like, when John or I are working with a client and we're dealing in LinkedIn, we help you determine what are those words. How does somebody contact you? Who is the audience? And then we work through that together in a workshop way on a session to get that LinkedIn optimized so that it's hitting the right buttons. And that's part of the key here, is getting it to the right people.
Right. And that's generally how we're matching too. And when Sherry says her and I, It's her and I and every single member of the Ama Vida team
100%.
are doing those things based on who your audience is trying to be. So now we move down. You've got an about me section, right? A little summary here. I'll tell you, when I've worked with clients and when other members of our team have worked with clients, more people get stuck here than anywhere. What do I write? And there's usually a great little connection to something else we help when we're helping clients work on their resume. And most people's resumes are too long. Usually the advice that we're giving is all that stuff that we're telling you to cut out of your resume, go put it over here in your about me section, because this is a space for you to be you. This is not a space to be stuffy. This is not a space to carbon copy that resume language where everything has to use no pronouns and be super short and terse and maximum keyword buzzword density per sentence. It doesn't have to be that way at all. This is a space where you can use I, where you say, I have been here, I have done this. You can talk about your why. Resumes don't want you to talk about why, do they? Resumes want you to say what. Maybe they want you to say how, but they don't really want you to say why, but LinkedIn can. You can talk about, why did you do this? Why are you on this journey? Why is this work important to you? Why are you passionate about what you do? You can be human. You don't have to be funny, but you can be as funny as you want to be. You don't have to be dry. You can put stories in here. It can and should be a little long. It shouldn't be 3 sentences. Again, if you don't have anything at all, start with 3 sentences. It's not static, you'll add to it. But you can go a little deeper here. And the reason why that's beneficial is when people are being driven to this spot, they're being driven to this spot because they already know a little about it, right? Again, nobody shows up on your LinkedIn landing page as like the very first thing they've ever encountered about you. It's always a step 2. They saw your resume first and it directed them here, or they saw you post something or reach out to someone and it directed them here. So give them a little more. Somebody saw something else about you, a business card, a resume, a post, and it enticed them enough that they wanted to learn more about you. They came to your profile, give them what they want. Let them learn more about you. Let them learn, like, wow, that was a really insightful comment you made on this article. I clicked on your link to get to your profile. I want to know why you're so insightful. Why do you care about this? How did you learn XYZ? So make sure that you're approaching that the right way.
Key there is make sure it's telling a similar parallel story to what you do have on your resume. One of the things that we see with clients frequently is there's 7 different people. They're one person when they meet you, face to face. They're one person on LinkedIn. They're another person on Facebook. They're another person on their resume. Their business card looks different. You need to come up with what your narrative looks like. And while it can change and iterate depending on who the audience is, you still want the basics to stay the same, because that informs tremendously about who you are, what your work ethic is, what kind of contribution you're bringing immediately. So you want to make sure you're telling that same story. It's just a matter of expanding those narratives, which LinkedIn gives you the opportunity to do. Here we go. I just said that.
So, well, then keep going. Yeah.
There we go. It should really mirror your resume, but like John said, it's not a pickup completely. It should evoke those same feelings. You should use a lot of those same keywords, but this gives you the opportunity to flesh it out further. Give them the why. If there were things that you kind of didn't have on your resume because they weren't as distinctive or key achievement-y that we needed, because really you have limited space on your resume, this is the place it belongs. This is where you want to add that in and have what to say about it.
And stories here. A lot of people say on their resume, oh, I struggle with this one bullet point because the summary of the bullet point doesn't really tell the story of what happened or something. Well, here you can tell the story. Right. You can add all of this context. You can tell story. And in fact, you should tell stories about how you came into the role or how you left the role. So there's a lot more here. Anything that you've ever worried, like, oh, I feel like my resume is going to send the wrong message, port that over into LinkedIn, because you can tell the right message here.
Everybody's favorite way to understand LinkedIn. What the hell do those numbers mean? 1, 2, and 3. All right. Ones are you have connected with them. In other social medias, it's called you friended them. You're linked together. You're connected. You have both given consent that you want to talk to each other. You've made a connection. Second is you share a connection. So let's say one of you reach out to me today, but you didn't reach out to John. When John goes on to my LinkedIn, he'll say, Jeff, I don't know if you've hooked up with us, but you're below me on the Brady Bunch board. So let's say Jeff Hughes makes contact with me today, which you should, Jeff, FYI. But you don't make contact with John, and John goes on my LinkedIn and he sees that you and I are connected and he thinks he's interested, it'll come up as a 2 because I'm friends with him, I'm connected to him. This gives him an entree, and we'll talk about this in another few slides, but this gives him entree to say to you, hey Jeff, I saw you're connected to Shari. Shari and I work together. Would you like to connect? And that's how you start to build out your network. 3 is you're not connected and you don't share a mutual connection. So find a way to have that conversation or find a way to reach out if it's somebody that you need to be connected to. So that's how the numbers work. And I know they're a little not so easy sometimes and it gets confusing, but it's simply that. Level 1, level 2, level 3, and LinkedIn has a ton of tools. I think John's going to show you in a few minutes how to sort some of those out and find them.
And LinkedIn, one of the reasons I think people get confused by this on LinkedIn is pretty much every other social media platform just has this as binary. You're either friends with someone or you're not.
Correct.
I know if any of you use Facebook, if you ever go onto Facebook and you go to the profile of someone you're not friends with, and maybe there's a little bar there that says, hey, you have mutual friends, like you have 4 mutual friends, that person in LinkedIn terms would be a second connection. You're not friends, but you've got a link. And then third is basically just people you don't know.
And I see John dropped his LinkedIn into the chat. I dropped mine in also. I'm recommending all of you guys drop them in, connect with each other. This is a captive audience to build your network. So
there's a lot of people on this call, and we're on a call about LinkedIn networking. It would be very silly not to use this as an opportunity. What we typically do after this is I'll make a post on LinkedIn just for this, and I'll put a link to that post in the follow-up email for this webinar, so everyone could go to that post, like it, see each other, kind of connect from there. But as people put their links in the chat, this is a great way to expand, because remember, every person you connect with on LinkedIn doesn't just give you one new first connection. It gives you 50, 100, 1,000 new second connections that you might not have had before. I don't know off the top of my head, about 5,000 connections on LinkedIn. So if you connect with me, you just gained about 5,000 second connections. So it's a big way to expand your network. It's a big way to grab an easy introduction, say, oh, hey, you and I both know John. And then you're in, even without having to ask me. And by the way, I'm happy to make introductions if anybody does have a second connection of mine they want to meet, but you don't need to wait for me to do that. You can reach out to them directly and say, hey, we both know John. How do you know John? And go from there. So when you're doing that, you want to know why you're doing it. You don't always want to connect just for the sake of connecting, right? We could all just sit there and spam connection requests until we filled up, but that's not really what you want to do. You want it to be somewhat purposeful. Don't get swept up in people that say, oh, it's all about having 30,000 connections. It's not. Anyone can get 30,000 meaningless connections by just hitting the button until 30,000 people say yes.
Right.
But you want it to be people that are not just relevant to your industry, but are relevant to you. Right? I follow a lot of people on LinkedIn that I'm not trying to get as clients and I'm not trying to work for, but I find them very interesting, or I find them very positive. One thing I really like about LinkedIn is the ability to cultivate a very positive news feed. I don't like doom scrolling, right? I don't like going onto social media to feel bad, to read about negative stuff that's happening. I don't want to be an ostrich and put my head in the sand. But for the most part, if I'm spending my time looking at a screen, I want that screen to be providing me with interesting information, with things that inspire me, with helpful tools, with people talking about improving their lives, and you can really cultivate that on LinkedIn. Then in turn, those will turn into a million different opportunities down the line. So make sure that you know why and what you're doing as you're connecting with people. Define those goals. Say, my goal is to create an environment where I talk to a bunch of other people in marketing because I'm in marketing, or my goal is to talk to a bunch of people that need the kind of tech services I provide, or it's to make an industry change and decrease the ratio of, maybe I do have a lot of connections, but they're all in my old industry that I'm leaving, and I want to join a new industry. So I'm trying to decrease the ratio so that the people trying to recruit me aren't all from my old industry. Look for those other connections, right? There will be people that you're connected with in real life that maybe you're not connected with on LinkedIn, but would absolutely say yes. If you went to a particular college, as a general rule, almost anyone from that college that's on LinkedIn will connect with you, right? I mean, always keep in mind that other people that are on LinkedIn also want to connect. You know, it's not you against everyone else. You're all trying to do the same thing and just find who's relevant to do. So use those things, use organizations you've been in the past. If you had an old job in the past and you think, you know, I left that job for reasonable reasons, maybe I didn't like my boss, whatever, but maybe I had a lot of coworkers that I loved. Well, reach out to them, reach out to other people that even work there. Just because you had one bad experience doesn't mean you want to cut off an entire potential pool of great connections.
And also what we tend to forget, and again, repeat this is still social media. So while it is still business social media, but we've talked about personalizing your profile a little bit. Keep that in mind when you're looking to connect too. If you are an avid bike rider, join a bike riding group. Because at least you're with like-minded people. Guess what? Those bike riding people, most of them probably have jobs, and they're not all just bike riding jobs. So maybe they're in finance, maybe they're in marketing, maybe they're attorneys. Whatever it is, they're still probably, at least you have a common conversation to have. And we tend to discount that in the business world, whereas everything is in one silo. One of the things that Amalavita spends a lot of time on, hence our name, is love your life. We're very holistic, and we're seeing that in the marketplace so much more now, but that's how it works for your networking as well, because again, those are conversation starters. That's where your engagement can come in. I am seeing so many people putting their stuff in the chat for their LinkedIn. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just so you know, John and I, if you want to connect with us, you have to connect with us. We can't connect with you only because we can't click through while we're talking to you. So if you're not, right, that's why I don't want you to think that. And I'm seeing questions come in, everybody. I'm not missing them. I am seeing them come in. We will get to all of them. Also want to just housekeeping. I'm getting a couple of questions for this. If you've come in late, the recording goes out post webinar. So if you missed a little bit, you'll catch it when it comes out to you.
Thank you, Sherry. Yes, absolutely. So
here we go.
On this page,
here's what we're here for, guys. Here's what you really came for.
And right? I'm going to answer a question that a lot of people did ask in chat, and I saw pop up while Sherry was talking, and I'm going to answer it right here, because a question that we get a lot that probably half of you have asked in one way or another is, how do I be attractive to new employers without triggering old employers, without setting off alarm bells? This is it. LinkedIn is not just a job board. Job board's this tiny little slice of it. How you make yourself attractive to employers is not through trying to send people your LinkedIn profile. It's engaging with this world. You can engage with the LinkedIn social aspect every day, and it will never make an employer think, oh, this person's applying for other jobs, any more than you being active on Facebook or Twitter would. People get so gun shy about LinkedIn. They think if I post anything on LinkedIn, my employer's going to think I'm looking for another job and fire me. I've been doing this a long time, and that's never happened to any of my clients, to anyone any of my clients know, to any of my clients, my coworkers' clients, anything. No one has ever come to us and said, hey, you know, I took your advice and I posted something on LinkedIn about how much I love this particular book I'm reading, and my employer fired me. It's never happened. Nope. This is right. It's everybody's fear, but it doesn't happen. This is a social media platform for professionals. That's it. It's basically the world's biggest water cooler. You're just going there to have water cooler kind of conversations. You're sharing what tools you're using at work. I just recently, with one of my own clients, we were talking about what to post on LinkedIn, and she said there's a tool she's been using, and she discovered some aspect of the tool that made her job really, really easy. And she said, I was kicking myself. I feel dumb. I feel like I should already have known this. I said, don't feel that way, because if you feel that way, 100 other people feel that way. Post it on LinkedIn. Say, hey, I just found this cool tool, and if you use this, or this cool aspect of a tool, and if you use this program, it can do this neat thing. And a bunch of people engage, and people like and comment and share. That doesn't make her current employer think that she's looking for a new job. But it does make anybody that might hire you, anybody like me that's doing our due diligence on you, that's researching you later, see not just a static profile, but a person who's engaging with their community, somebody who is helping others, somebody that's having conversations. How many hiring managers would love to be able to spy on the applicants at their old job and see what they were really like behind the resume? Well, this is your chance to show that, but still in a curated way. So absolutely engage. I'm such a proselytizer on this. You need to, and you can have the best profile in the world. I mean, it could be stunning. If you don't ever engage, it doesn't matter. People never come to it. They never see it. They never talk back with you. But engaging is the way to create an interesting person that people want to connect with. Sometimes when you send a connection request, before saying yes or no, some people who are maybe a little discerning will go look at you and say, well, what are you posting? And again, if you never post anything, then they're thinking, well, why would I bother connecting with you? What are you adding to my life or my feed if you never talk, right? If you're just sitting there lurking in the background. So post. If you tag people and post, if you really want to get some engagement and get people's attention, and oh, here's company X, I would love to work for them or love to work in that industry. I'm going to go to company X. I'm going to follow them. I'm going to follow the leaders in company X, anybody in company X that posts frequently. And I'm going to share their stuff and I'm going to tag them and I'm going to signal boost them. When somebody shares something that I've posted, I'm so flattered. I'm so immediately like, wow, this person, it's one thing to click like, anybody clicks like. This person actually liked it enough to send that signal out to their own people to say, I'm hitching my wagon to this. I'm so flattered. Of course, then if that person messaged me and said, hey, I loved this discussion you had and I shared it with my followers and they loved it too. Of course, I'm going to talk to that person. Of course, I would answer a message from them. So I mean, just screenshot this slide and hang it up in your office, right? I mean, this is the thing to do.
I'm bobbleheading over here and I'm like, say it louder for the people in the back. This is it, right? This is the key. What he just said, all the things he just said, and just know let me give you some tactical pieces about this. And again, I'm constantly doing this with clients in session, as John is, as is all of our coaches who spend time in the personal brand arena. When you comment or share or tag somebody, they get notified. There's a little section on the top bar. It says notifications. If you click that, you'll see how you get notified. But just like you get notified, so does that person. So you're even building name recognition for yourself. You know, if you're looking at someone's post and you really like it and you're going to make a comment, don't just comment. Tag that original poster because they'll now see your name shows up in their notifications. They will get a notification every time you engage with them. And all that does is build your presence, build your personality so that you come top of mind. When I need an expert, when I need a thought leader, I would tell you personally, I have clients who have now gotten to the point where they can call some key leaders and have conversations for informational interviews and they're looking for a job simply because of their engagement on LinkedIn. They've built that rapport because they're like-minded. Sometimes it ends up in a job. That's a webinar for another day. Catch us on informational interviewing. Sometimes it ends up in a job, but sometimes it just ends in networking. And there's something to be said for being a giver and a connector as well. There's all parts of this. It always reminds me of a sports team. If there's always one star on the team, but you think about the best teams that we've had across all the sports over all the years, there's usually not one superstar. There's everybody doing their part. And that's what starts to build it. So I'm doing all the cool, not side parted skinny mom jean things over here to get you to understand what he's saying.
And it's true to be intentional about it too. Remember that you are a complex three-dimensional person, but other people only know what you tell them. They only know what you show them. If you post all day, every day about the Eagles, the greatest football team of all time, nobody say anything. If you post all day, every day about the Eagles, you're the Eagles guy. That's who you are. If that's not who you're trying to be though, then be careful the mix you give. If you say, I have one client who I did this so well, and he was really into, oh, thank you, Rose. Yes. who was into one of my clients. His field is vendor management, and he's a super engaged on vendor management, and he talks about vendor management. He eats, sleeps, and breathes vendor management. He's sharing articles about vendor management. He gets headhunted for vendor management roles.
Right.
People seek out him, right? People seek out him because he is this hub of information. Because if you search vendor management on LinkedIn, he pops up because he talks about it all the time. So be that person. Engage with what you want to engage in and make sure that you are being the person that you want to be and that you want people to know you as, right? So share publications. Again, you can share from other sources. You can share your own things. It doesn't all have to be original content. He wasn't necessarily writing a ton of articles on vendor management. He was sharing a ton of them. He was Googling articles from Forbes and Business Insider and Harvard Business Review, just sharing them on LinkedIn. So you can do that. Promote the material that you want associated with you, and you become that person.
I'm going to answer a question that I don't see in the chat, but I get asked all the time by clients in session all the time. Well, what's the right amount? So it's a really hard question.
More.
A minimum of 3 times a week. And I know that sounds funny, but the reason why is think about how you catch people. More, yes. But if you spread it out and do it at least 3 times a week, you're catching different audiences because, again, LinkedIn is, let me hear you all say it, social media. LinkedIn works on algorithms. So as you put stuff in the feed, it changes what you see also. So if you post all at once, only on one day, it's not giving you what you need to start networking and having different things show up in your feed so that you can engage with it. So you want to make sure that a minimum of 3 times a week is good. And like John said, you don't have to write your own content. I do not write a lot of my own content. I am a clear sharer. I'm going to give you a hint. Don't tell everybody I told you this. Take your phone into the potty. It's quick. Potty. Take the phone in the potty. Right? You're sitting there. You might as well do something memorable.
I don't have Facebook on my phone. I don't have Twitter on my phone, but I do have LinkedIn on my phone.
Right? I mean, it's potty time. That's what you do when you're in there anyway. Use the phone.
That's so funny though.
I know.
But it's true.
I'm oversharing.
But the point is though to engage regularly, right? If you spend 30 minutes to an hour a day on job boards, that is very often wasted time. Take that same 30 minutes and just spend it on LinkedIn, not looking for jobs on LinkedIn, just engaging on LinkedIn, commenting, sharing, tagging, liking, just engaging with it. And you will find the results at the end of a month of that so tremendously better than a month on a job board. So tremendously better. Pick a thing and talk about it, search about it, engage with people about it. If people are sharing really relevant stuff, by the way, you don't even need their permission to get them in your feed. You can follow them. You can send a connection request, but while that connection request is pending or whatever, you can follow that person, just add them to your feed. And then you can still share their articles. You can still tag them. You can still comment on their stuff, even if they've never accepted your connection request. You can still engage meaningfully with that person. You can engage with so many different people across industries who are just sharing positive things. And then that opens you up to the flow of information, the flow of opportunities. That puts you in the stream of other people also moving in that direction, also wanting to connect. And I like to say, go through the door that's open, right? If you see somebody and they are, and they have a great presence or profile, or they belong to a company you want to work with, but they never post, maybe they're not that active on LinkedIn. And you may send them a connection request and they never respond to it. And you think, oh, did they reject me for some reason? No, they probably just aren't on LinkedIn. They probably made a profile once and then didn't do anything back with it. So engage with people who are active, right? Who are talking. I'll tell you a couple great little secret tips, right? If you find a post and it's great, and it's like, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. This is what I'm really interested in. It's an article that I'm interested in or somebody's post and I really agree with it. And it has a lot of engagement already. It's got 60, 70 likes. If you click on that number, it shows you who those likes are. It actually gives you the profile of every other person that liked that. Right. So that's 70 people to send a connection request to, because you're like, hey, like-minded people. Those are other people that engage with the thing I'm engaged with, right?
And you can
So,
sort in there, John.
oh yeah, you can sort by first connection, second connection. You can see, but the great thing about it is it already tells me what I consider to be the most important thing. Is this person active on LinkedIn? They just liked something, so obviously they're active. They're logged in. So I would rather have 500 connections that all are on LinkedIn every day and post regularly than 30,000 connections who are fire and forget people who made a profile once and never logged it again.
Right.
Right. That little number next to your name is meaningless. It's what they do in your feed that matters. So engage with people that engage back.
And also another little trick is when you engage, it also comes onto your profile page. There's a section underneath that says activity. So a hiring manager, a recruiter, potential employer, a potential coworker even, if they go on your profile, they'll see how active you are and they'll see the things you're engaging with. Again, that's a lot of information that's getting to a hiring manager about you. So you
keep it positive.
Keep engagement up, right?
Keep it positive. And now, I don't want anyone to construe this advice as meaning be fake or anything like that, but
no.
But keep it positive, right? I did have a client once who he was really reticent to post on LinkedIn. I finally pushed him out of his comfort zone. He posted on LinkedIn, and the first thing he posted was like a 2-paragraph tirade about how dumb an idea was that he just read and how. And I'm like, this is the only thing you've ever posted on LinkedIn. What does that show? So just keep it positive. You can ask questions. Questions always sound good, by the way. A really easy way to engage on anything is, wow, what a great idea. How did you come up with this? It's easy. It invites conversation. So again, you don't have to be coming up with cunning, insightful, clever things every time. You can just ask questions. So I want to do a temperature check. I always like to do this. You can put this in the chat. Did you find at least one thing here relevant? These are just some sample questions. Does some of this work? Do you feel this was valuable? This is not the first time we've done this, but we kind of changed the frequency of this. So whether or not this is useful to do in the future, we based on the feedback we get here. So getting a lot
of yeses.
Excellent. I kind of see little like flashes, but then they go away.
Yeah.
Great. And I know it was a short amount of time, and we're not done yet. We're going to do some Q&A, but I just want to cover. I told you it was dense, right? I told you there was a lot to cover here, and we've scratched the surface. Right? There are deeper things. There's everything from deeper tactical tips and tricks. Like, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, little thing, but Sherry and I, our LinkedIn profiles just say our names. You'll notice that our LinkedIn profiles don't have a long string of random characters after them, A, B, 4, 5, X. If you go to your profile, many of you may have that. That's because that's what LinkedIn gives you by default. You can change it. So little tips like that are everywhere. So we've only scratched the surface. And then again, what we do individually with clients is, of course, all of these things. We gave you the what, but there's these deeper questions of, well, what do I write and how do I write? How often? And what do you think of this? In fact, these are what we work with individual clients. So I know that we had to give this at a very high level and really power through a lot of things. But hopefully you took some things away from that that are helpful. But if you are going to go deeper, that's what we're here for. And it's not just Sherry and I, by the way. It's a whole team of us that all do this. We all work together. All of these things come from our team approach. One of the beauties of working on this team, and I love working on this team, is that I didn't know all of this when I came here. I knew some of this, and Sherry knew some of this, and other of our team knew some of this. And then we were all able to get together, share that information. We're able to constantly get feedback from our clients of what's working. Clients come back to us and say, hey, by the way, I did all these things you said, but I also did this and it turned out great. And then, of course, now I'm incorporating that for other clients and sharing with the team, and they're doing it for their clients. So if you are looking to engage with this more deeply and you say, this is the path I really want to go down, I really need that guidance and need help, well, here we are. So you can grab a free strategy coaching session, a free 30 minutes with a member of our team to talk about this individually on a one-on-one basis. If you want to do that, I'm going to copy and paste this link.
I got it.
Oh, you got it? Thank you. Sherry's going to put that in. Follow that link. Open that up. You can book a free 30-minute consult one-on-one, not like this where it's a million people, but some one-on-one time with any member of our team. I can't guarantee that it'll be Sherry or myself because schedules are all over, but someone on our team who all works together. we'll be able to do this one-on-one. And if you want to go further and engage, like I said, Amala is here to do a whole lot besides just LinkedIn.
Right. You know what, also what's really important about that consult, what I love about it is when you talk to one of our people, whether it's John or I, or you said we have a whole team, what they do is they'll listen to where your needs are and make sure the coach that they match you with really works with where you're at and your style. A lot of questions we always get is, well, how do I know what coach is right for me? Not everybody coaches the way John and I do. This is our style. What you're seeing on this webinar is how we are with our clients. I see a couple of my clients on this call so they can pipe up and tell you, yeah, this is how
Right, me
she
too.
is. But we have a range of coaches and everyone's got a different style because there's a lot of different people in the world. So one of the greatest things about that free consult is our staff member will be able to talk with you people on our team and find out what's going to work for you, because we might not work for you. We don't work
Or even
for
just industry background too. I mean, all of our
Correct.
coaches come from a wide variety of industries. So
Right.
you may have, one of our coaches may have a very similar background or an adjacent background, or they may have a background in what you want to go into. So
Exactly.
we do a little matchmaker.
Want to do some questions?
I do want to do some questions. Let's
Okay.
do it.
All right.
All right. Are you going to do
Jackie
chat or
asked-
am I doing chat?
I
You're
got
doing chat.
I got the chat. I got it up. Oh, Jackie is, hi, Jackie. I'm so glad you're here. How can you augment your profile when you're in a client-facing role, but you're looking for a new job? Well, we're going to do this this is one of my clients. Jackie, we're doing this in session, but we're going to let John answer.
Okay, well, good, because you'll get Sherry's answer from Sherry. But again, nobody's stalking your profile in this way, right? You can boost up your profile in a way that doesn't send a signal. This is why I hate the sort of open to work kind of tags, right? Because I prefer to just increase your value rather than necessarily say open to work. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but if you're in a client-facing role, right, you don't want to necessarily talk about that. But here's the thing. You could be in a client-facing role in industry A, and you can talk about leadership. You can talk about work ethic. You can talk about great anecdotes from work. You can talk about how inspired you are by other people. You can talk about being inspired by things totally outside of work. You can share articles from the Paralympics. You can share articles from International Women's Day. All of these things enhance who you are as a professional, as a potential team member, without a single one of them getting in the way of your client-facing role. I have a client-facing role, but I talk about other stuff all the time on LinkedIn. And again, not that I'm looking to leave, but for my bosses who are going to watch this webinar, I swear I'm here. But you can talk about anything you want. And unless the thing you talk about is extremely narrowly saying, I hate my job and I am looking for another one, then it does not get construed that way. It really doesn't. Don't be overly paranoid. For anybody that's ever seen The Producers, one of my favorite old movies, Gene Wilder, there's this scene where Gene Wilder is out with Max, and he's playing hooky from work, and he says, "But what if someone from the office should see me?" And Max says, "Well, then they would see you, and why aren't they at the office?" Right. So don't think that just because you're on LinkedIn, that's a bad sign. What, is somebody from your work going to see you? What are they doing on LinkedIn? So yeah, don't be afraid of that. By all means, engage with anything you want and just show off the things that are important to you. It only enhances you as a professional. Interesting story. I've had clients that started to do this and got promoted at their own job. Correct. Instead of getting headhunted away because suddenly their own work sees them as more valuable and more invested and more engaged. So all sorts of positive things, only positive things can result from this.
If your headline does not contain your job position company, could that be viewed as disrespectful by recruiters, employees in your company? That's a big no for me, but I'll let you take the rest of the way.
No, because again, it's going to be in your experience section, right? So nobody from your own company is policing it that hard. And by the way, if you ever, I say this has never happened. Any of my clients has never happened. I would love to hear if any of you ever get reached out to by someone in HR in your own company to tell you what your LinkedIn headline should be. Please let me know so that I can make sure I never advise clients to work for that company ever in Correct. A million years. That is a level of micromanagement I cannot even fathom. No, it almost never happens. It's not disrespectful at all. The only things that would be construed as disrespectful are outright disrespect. If a headline says, "I hate working here," then sure, that's probably disrespectful. But anything that's just a headline is about you. Let's say you work for company A, but your true passion is photography. And your headline says, taking pictures of nature or something. It's not disrespectful. That's just who you are, right? We are not entirely consumed by our jobs. We're three-dimensional people. We have other things in our lives. So by all means, This is your LinkedIn profile. It is not the LinkedIn profile of an employee of company X. It is your LinkedIn profile. And that's just one aspect of who you are.
Yep. Hey, Lisa, I think John answered this in the first question, but I'm gonna give it to him again for him to give you a little bit more. How do you remain attractive on your LinkedIn and not trigger your current employer?
Don't say I hate my current employer. It's really what it comes down to. Unless you're saying I hate my current employer or I am trying to leave, is anybody hiring? Everything else won't trigger them. Nothing else they're posting. I mean, imagine that conversation. Imagine you posted something about, oh, I'm so inspired by this woman who did this, amazing thing. Is your HR person going to say, hey, by the way, you posted something from International Women's Day on your LinkedIn profile. Are you trying to leave? This conversation is never going to happen. So as long as, you're not being directly disrespectful, please don't be overly paranoid. Everybody is way too far paranoid on this. I don't mean everybody on this call. I'm not calling anybody out specifically. I mean, everyone universally is too paranoid about posting on LinkedIn. Doesn't work like that.
And sometimes it works to the positive. I've actually had a number of clients who have posted some things and HR has contacted them and said, what did, and the conversation got opened up to say, yo, I posted that because that's an interest of mine. Hey, well, we have a rec coming up. We're opening a job rec and we didn't even know this was an interest of yours. You never said. This is really a good marriage between what you do now and what we're trying to bring in. Are you interested? And they've changed jobs within their organization.
I have a client right now who got a mentorship opportunity because she started posting on LinkedIn about inspiring leaders and leadership and what her views on leadership were, because she wanted to climb the ladder. And I said, if you want to climb the ladder anywhere, there's an old rule from all the way back in my early sales days. And the old rule was, if you poll the office and say, hey, who do you think the next person is that's going to get promoted? They're always right. That poll is always correct.
That's absolutely right.
It's the person that talks about it. It's the person that wears that outfit on themselves early. So if you're talking about leadership, that's a big step.
Absolutely. What are the main outcomes of engagement? Would you say recruiters give you a better chance because they might know you better?
Recruiters give you a better chance. You get onto shortlists easier. Anecdote from a hire that we made at Amalavita not too long ago. We put up a job rec, got about 400 applications in about a week, right? That's what happens sometimes. Out of those 400 people, fewer than a half a dozen reached out on LinkedIn, sent a LinkedIn connection request, sent a message, shared some stuff. Guess what our shortlist was? And our hire came out of that group, right? It's hard to filter down a 400 person application pool. If you give me an easy reason to put you on the short list, it's going to happen. So engaging in that way is a big part of it. Some of my clients have skipped the entire application step. They've just engaged so much with the topic and the industry that they get headhunted, that they get reached out to. When I was a recruiter, posting a job rec was option number 6 for me. If I had a job rec I was trying to fill as a recruiter, the first thing I did was just try to find people on my own. Instead of getting them to come to me, I would go out and I would search. I'd go on LinkedIn and search for that job title or search for that industry and see who was talking. And then I'd reach out to them. I'd ask them, are you looking? And if you're not, who are you engaged with that is? Because that person's a connector. So yes, again, it's only positive. If you replace 30 minutes a day of terrible job board scrolling with this process, you will see incredibly better results.
100%. Yeah. How do you thread the needle when you have multiple streams of income and you don't want your employer to know?
So if you have side hustles and maybe there's some rules against side hustles. So this is something that's tricky to navigate, right? Because my official opinion is that you shouldn't be doing anything that breaches any ethical boundaries. If you have an employer that says, we don't allow our employees to have side hustles, first off, I don't think that's a good thing for an employer to say. Right? I think all employers, Amalavita encourages the side hustle, right? We love side hustles. If you have an employer that says we don't allow side hustles, you're already navigating tricky waters by having one. And I'm not going to judge anybody's position. Maybe you need to. Maybe we don't have the option not to. I don't like working that. If it's not a conflict of interest, though, if there is no problem,
of interest, that's what it says right in the chat. Not a conflict of interest. Thank you, Lisa.
Great. Then you may not have to, right? You may not have to thread that needle. You may be able to, again, post on that topic, right? So again, I'll use the photography example. You have a main job, a 9 to 5. you also have a photography business. No conflict of interest, nobody's mad, but you don't necessarily want to cross that too much. You can still talk about photography. You don't have to say, I am a photographer for hire, here are my rates, here's this. But you can post photographs you've taken. You can talk about the photography industry. You can talk about equipment. You can share other people's work. That still makes you come up in those searches. It still makes people associate you with photography. It still makes people think of you that way. It still lets you join those groups. It lets you join smaller conversations. It lets you be the one to reach out. And then when the other person's evaluating whether they should say yes, it's adding some credibility because they're looking at your profile and there's photography stuff on there. So those are some ways to be a little more subtle if you're trying to keep maybe the side income stream relevant and in your history without a big neon sign that says, this is my side hustle.
And you can also drop some of that information in your About Me. That's where you can flesh that story out a little bit as well.
Right.
So it fits there. What do you say if you apply for a job and send a LinkedIn request to the hiring manager? I love this question.
Of course, knock it out of the park. You should be engaging with as many different spots within an application as possible. When you send one application, you are competing against a lot of other people. Job applications are competitive. And by competitive, I don't just mean, oh, it's competitive, it's tough. What I mean is it's literally competitive. You could be great for the role. And I see this frustration all the time in clients and other people. And they say, I applied for this role. I had every qualification. I know I'd be great at it. I didn't even get a response back. I didn't even get an email. Why? And they'll start to doubt themselves. They start to say, was I really not qualified? Am I aiming too high? No, it's not that at all. What it is that you were perfectly qualified for that role. And so were 100 other people, because you're not the only one. But someone else in that pool of 100 did something else to give them a little head start. They messaged the hiring manager on LinkedIn. They followed the company. They not just messaged privately, but publicly. If somebody's interested in Amalavita, and in addition to sending private messages, they just shared Amalavita content. Again, this doesn't have to tell anybody else publicly that you're trying to get a job with Amalavita. But to us internally, it says, wow, look, they're actually sharing our stuff. They're already acting like they're part of the family. They're boosting our signal. That makes me want to engage with that person. Right. That makes me want to talk to them more. So if you're applying for a company or for a role in a company, don't just message the hiring manager on LinkedIn. Share some of their stuff. Share some of the company stuff. Share something from the company and tag some people from the company. That's the stuff that will get the attention. But still, to an outsider, doesn't immediately say they're looking for a job there. Amalavita posts stuff all the time about, hey, here's 5 great ways to master your morning, or here's 3 great ways to impress a coworker, or just all of these things. And if somebody shared that, it wouldn't necessarily tell an outsider they were trying to join the team. It would say, oh, this is relevant information, and they've shared it.
And to that end, the question that we also get after that is, well, am I being a pest?
Never.
You might be. I mean, but you could be. I mean, it's the hiring manager might not go, oh yes, I love that you did that. It might not work for everybody, but then the only thing you're still better off doing it than not doing it, because when you hit the right note and you make that right connection, it's making all the difference. For the person who isn't going to like it, they're not responding anyway. And they're not responding whether you do it or you don't do it. So
right.
You need to take that chance. We actually have to wrap up, and we're actually on time, which I'm so impressed with us.
All right, which never happens.
Never happens.
Everybody, thanks so much for great questions, great engagement. I can't wait to be connected with all of you on LinkedIn. I can't wait to see all of you on LinkedIn. If you have additional questions, things you want to work on, even things that have nothing to do with LinkedIn, hey, we're easy to find, right? All of this is about being easy to find. We've made ourselves easy to find for you. So come find us on LinkedIn. Please follow this link. Again, this is a free strategy session with any of our coaches. So grab this, even if it's not LinkedIn, right? Grab this link and talk to somebody. Great, please. Again, open up that link. Grab this no matter who, no matter what you want to talk about. Right. Please come in, please engage. Could be anything at all. We're here for you. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate this. And we'll see you on LinkedIn.
Thank you, guys. Please reach out if you have any questions. Hi, Diane. Bye, Diane.